Welcome to the Caregiver Relief Podcast, dedicated to giving family caregivers the tools, knowledge, and hope they need to keep going. I'm your host, Diane Carbo, RN, and today we're shining a light on a real game changer for veterans and their surviving spouses, getting VA paid in-home care without enduring the year-long, or longer delays. My guest is someone who's made it his mission to change that timeline. John Mozdzien is a U.S. Navy veteran, co-founder and executive director of VeteransFirst.us. Through Veterans First, he and his team help eligible veterans and surviving spouses access customized VA-funded home care, often starting in just 30 to 45 days. This episode is sponsored by MyVitalVault.net, your all-in-one life organizer for aging adults and caregivers. It's designed to help you securely store your essential legal, medical, and emergency information in one easy-to-access place. Because when a crisis hits, being prepared can make all the difference. Join our Caregiver Relief community, a warm, welcoming space where you can connect with other caregivers, ask questions, share stories, and find support from people who truly understand. Visit community.caregiverrelief.com to join now, because caregiving is one of the hardest and most meaningful things you'll ever do, and no one should have to do it alone. And if this episode speaks to you, please take a moment to like, share, or comment. Every click helps us reach more caregivers who need encouragement, resources, and hope. John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here, Diane.
My experience with the military medical delivery system has been nothing short of hurry up and wait. They delay, and my thoughts are, and many believe this, that they're just waiting for us to die. And so I'm really excited that you have such an entrepreneurial spirit and helping our veterans, because when I saw the title Veterans First, that's an unusual title because veterans are never first. They're last on the totem pole, and I've seen it for decades. To kick things off, John, I'd love to hear your story. What was the driving motivation behind starting Veterans First?
Absolutely, Diane. So let me just dive in your comment right away. We thought in 2018, when we were trying to put this all together, what do we name this company? And I remember we sat together in a room and we said, let's keep it very simplistic, like Google, like Verizon. And I said, how about Veterans First? And it has stuck from New Jersey to California.
I have to tell you, I got goosebumps when I saw that.
Oh,
And,
thank you
and
for
that-
that.
I really did, because my story is both my sons were in the military. They both served in the Army. And my oldest son was injured, developed a severe pain condition, and I helped him navigate the military medical delivery system, which is horrendous. And he eventually committed suicide and died almost 15 years ago. So I know personally and professionally, because I used to help vets. I worked for a company that had a vocational head injury survivor program. So I've been to Walter Reed, Bethesda Naval. I've sat in on big meetings trying to advocate for these soldiers that were still an active military, let alone the veterans part of it. It was very enlightening to me at that. So when I saw that you turned this around, I'm thinking, oh my God, I have to learn about this.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here and share some wisdom to all your listeners that tune in on a regular basis. So I'll dive right in.
Yep.
I'm a service-connected Navy veteran myself. I served on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier back in 1999 on the U.S. Harry S. Truman CVN-75, and my job was to launch aircraft off the catapults. Seen a lot of things, just learned a lot about life, things you can't get in the civilian world, because you really don't know someone until you're pressed up against the wall and you have no other options.
Exactly.
That's when you really find out who someone is. So transit, fast forward some years now. My business partner owns a home care agency. So
Mhm.
we're a brick and mortar home care agency in the state of Pennsylvania. And I used to work for a large national company doing similar to what we're doing here at Veterans First. And my position, unfortunately, but fortunately, got eliminated. And they made it all telephonic. So my partner, his name is Eric Sapesi. He said, John, you know the paperwork, you know the social workers, you have a good name in the marketplace. Why can't we do this here locally? Now, Diane, I didn't know all the paperwork because they had all their trade secrets locked down. But
Yeah.
when you fail in life, that's when you learn.
Yes.
And when you get denied on a claim,
Mm.
military, like a lot of your listeners probably have happened, you either A, give up,
Yep.
or B, you keep pressing on.
Yeah.
So we said, all right, we're going to start this company, Veterans First. And we help a veteran or a surviving spouse of a veteran, which is 60% of our census across 15 states that we actively serve.
Wow.
We help them, thank you. We help them obtain what's called a non-service connected pension with aid and attendance. Because everyone knows about service connected,
Yes.
Agent Orange, and you can be rated by 10%, 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 100, which is called P&T. But no one talks about this little known benefit that's called non-service with aid and attendance. So you could have a sweet surviving spouse out there that is 85 years of age, that has dementia, and
Mhm.
her dear husband, my fellow veteran, served in the Korean conflict. And guess what? She doesn't even know she qualifies. Moreover, her son, her daughter doesn't know she qualifies.
Yeah.
So we speak, our motto is very simple but proven. We speak over the phone to the next of kin to determine eligibility. Reason why we adopted that model in today's society, it's hard to trust people. So we want to speak to the family member, not the person yearning for help.
Yes. Yes.
After we hear they qualify, we have a team that helps them provide all the supporting documents that's needed to prove that particular case paperwork. But we know what the VA wants, we know what they don't need, which saves time.
Yeah.
Once we have all of the documents, we have a boots on ground model that I am so proud to talk about, where in every single state that we are in, we will have an employee go out to meet with the family face to face, eye to eye, to talk about this particular benefit called A&A, aid and attendance. We submit a fully developed claim to the Department of Veteran Affairs. And like you said before, the military's hurry up and wait, capital letters.
Yep.
While that claim is pending for 2 months, for 4 months, for 10 months, for 15 months, Veterans First bridges that gap of time, that desperate time where folks need help right then and there. We allow my fellow veteran and or his surviving spouse to begin home care immediately with one of our licensed agencies that are vetted, background checked, all insurances are in place. And when the VA gets around to it, and I say that in a polite manner, when they get around to it because they're backlogged, 6 months from now, the monetary benefit that the family receives, because it's against the law to go anywhere else, it has to go to either the claimant or the fiduciary if they're appointed one and they can't manage their own financial affairs.
Right.
We have a signed agreement that those funds pay Veterans First back in a retroactive manner from the date in which it was filed at no additional cost or fees, period.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and I still get chills talking about that because when I'm in a plane flying to El Paso, Texas, and I'm trying to learn my Espanol, and I'm sitting in front of just lovely people,
Yes. Yes.
and they're like, why didn't anyone tell us about this, Diane? And here's the fact of the matter. The VA doesn't have a marketing department.
Yes.
It's not like you're driving down the interstate and you see a billboard. My mom needs help. Call the VA. It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. No.
So that's the overview of this. The qualifications, there's 3 criterias that they have to fall under. It's military service, where the veteran had to serve at least 90 days of active duty service with one of those particular days in a classified wartime period. They don't necessarily have to serve in combat. They just had to be enlisted during that era one day. Medical, we need a signed release from their physician that they need essentially help. The term is called activities of daily living, which is known as ADLs.
Yes.
And then the financial threshold, they're allowed to own one home that's exempt up until 2 acres. And they're also allowed to own a vehicle that's exempt. But all of their assets that they have stowed away and accumulated their entire life cannot exceed a little over $163,000. That just went up with the COLA, cost of living adjustment, and it follows Social Security 9 times out of 10. So that's what we do behind these walls. We have amazing individuals that are surviving spouses of veterans, family members that are veterans, and I have the truly distinct honor to keep my naval service current by doing this.
That's incredible. I had all these questions to ask, but you've addressed them. I have to tell you, I'm familiar with the aid and attendance program, only not the non-service provider. But I can tell you that I've had people wait as long as 2 years for approval in the past. And I know that many of my clients and their caregiver, the clients, the seniors have died before the services even kicked in. Sadly, the family was never given any compensation, and they've put a lot of their own money and time in it. And so that's why I have a very bad taste for the VA. But that's my personal experience as well. And I just can't imagine what family caregivers go through.
Oh, it's the stories we hear, Diane. It's very sad. And you don't know what you don't know in life until you're reaching for it.
Yes.
And one big, not big, but something that I'd like to share with everyone is there's 3 separate umbrellas, 3 separate administrations that the VA has. So when someone says, oh, I'm talking to the VA, are you talking to the VHA? Because the VHA stands for Veterans Healthcare Administration. Or are you talking to the VBA? That stands for Veterans Benefit Administration. And guess what? Those two don't speak to one another.
Oh, dear.
So when someone says, I'm getting help from the VA, okay, great. Are you going to your local hospital to get assistance? Because that's great, because Dr. Smith is probably doing a phenomenal job. But what about the benefits that you earned? Dr. Smith isn't in charge of that.
I was over, I'm here in Myrtle Beach, and they have an outpatient clinic for the veterans over here. And I have dogs that I walk over there. It's a beautiful park.
Yeah.
And they had an outdoor activity for the vets. So I'm walking around, and I was asking questions to the social worker. My son that's no longer with us had a terrible pain condition. And at the time, I was trying to advocate for the military to send him to Germany to have ketamine comas, because it was something that a doctor was doing in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And they of course wouldn't do that. But it's now the Veterans Administration actually is the reason why ketamine has been approved for treatment-resistant depression and PTSD. So they got this FDA approval in a short amount of time because it would help veterans. So here I am at this gathering, and I said to the social worker, I said, hey, do you know there's a ketamine clinic here in the community? And he goes, yeah, so what? I said, the FDA or the VA worked so hard to get it FDA approved so that veterans would have access to it. And his attitude was one, they have a lot of things they have to do, all the paperwork, they have to do this. And I'm thinking, strangulating government regulations. And there was not 1 ounce of concern. And at that group, I had met so many people who had lost their suicide.
I would have walked out.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I had the dogs with me. It was an outdoor. And what I said, I can't repeat here.
Sure. And that's saying the right thing to the wrong audience.
Yeah.
We can be speaking right now, and there can be people listening to us saying, yes, that makes sense. And there all could be another side saying, no, I disagree. And that's okay too.
Oh, yes. My experience goes all the way from Madigan Army Medical Center in Tacoma on a personal level with my son, to dealing with the active or even the veterans of that had head injuries and were trying to
Yeah.
get benefits. I learned it's an arduous process. You have to go to your congressman, you have to go to your senators, you have to go to your local council people, and you've got to write and have them advocate for you. I did that with my son, and it was horrendous because when a person leaves the political office, you lose all your momentum. And I didn't realize that. And I know family caregivers don't know how, they don't have the energy, they don't have the knowledge. I'm an advocate and I'm a mama bear. So when I needed it, Jeff used to tell me, Mom, you've got 5-star generals raining down here. What's going on? You got to stop it. And I said,
Sure.
oh, hell no.
Yeah.
But I want to talk more about this veterans first, because it is growing, John. And I know you had said you really want to be careful about, you want to be consistent with the growth because you don't want to get things out of hand.
Correct.
First, tell me, how does the actual in-home care begin, and how does someone apply through your program?
Yeah, that's a great question. So all of our referrals come to us internally.
Okay.
And I'll expand on that. But what I want to say right away is we do not call a veteran or surviving spouse to solicit what we do. All of our referrals come from home care agencies, hospitals, social workers, discharge planners, and I could keep on going. But we utilize an electronic referral link. Our website, that's very easy, www.veteransfirst, spelled out, all one word, .us. Wealth of knowledge on there. But we have a referral link to where we call the family to provide a welcome call within 24 to 72 hours of the date of that referral. That's a soft pass
Wow.
record of what. Thank you. Thank you.
Customer service driven. I can't believe it. I'm
It's
impressed.
this, but everyone behind us does a phenomenal job, behind
Yes.
myself.
Yes.
We go over eligibility. Then the following day after that welcome call, we call them again to do a formal intake. And that intake is a deeper dive. And then a customized welcome packet is sent to the family, telling them exactly what we need based on our conversation. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Once we have all those documents, we put together an FDC. That stands for a fully developed claim. When that claim is all put together, that's when we schedule the home appointment where we go out to meet with the family face to face. We ship that to the VA. When we ship that to the VA, we send one of our home care agencies an SOC, that stands for a start of care, and a POC, plan of care. They coordinate with the family. Care begins, and depending on what type of case, Diane, a surviving spouse, a single veteran, a married veteran, 2 married veterans, they could get anywhere from around 6 to 17 hours per week, not per month, but per week, that is fully funded by this benefit. When you talked about how we want to grow efficiently, is we look for home care agencies all within a certain zip code area. And we want to have at least 2 or 3 so there's overlap. Because if one particular home care agency cannot take that case, and we have the paperwork that we submit to the VA, now we're falsifying documents because care is not going to be provided.
Yes.
So there has to be a all hands on deck, go Navy, to approach this right now. So when we have a couple home care agencies, then we talk to social workers and discharge planners, and we explain our model, because hospital professionals know how daunting this benefit is and how hard it is to get.
Yes.
So when I myself and other amazing members of our staff have the opportunity to speak to face about this benefit and all the nuances it has, that's when folks say, that makes sense. Let's learn more. And then all of a sudden, we're in 15 states later, still actively growing.
I know from my personal experience of dealing with the different groups of the VA, I've had clients call me and say they lost my paperwork. They've lost this, or they can't find that, or they need this. And I know that and it may be like you think you're sent in your paperwork and everything's going to start rolling along like a well-oiled machine. And meanwhile, it's the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz, whereas you take a few steps and it stops and
Got it.
you have
Right.
to be re-oiled again. And it's so frustrating because caregivers are tired and
Uh-huh.
the burnout rate is so huge and they get so frustrated. And one of the things I tell them, and I really work with them hard on this, don't give up. So I tell them make copies of everything, 2 or 3 copies, put it together so you have it. But what you're doing is making sure they have everything right there in front of them, the game.
Right there. And it's not a loophole. It's just education.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what
absolutely.
it is.
Yeah, and
And
you know what? You make it easy so that the government bureaucrat at the other end has everything there because forgive me, my dad was a letter carrier. I know people in the Social Security. I know government bureaucrats. God bless you. I appreciate you. But they need paper to paper. They need to have have a little checklist to check. And if one thing's missing, you go to the bottom of the pile all over again.
and then on top of that, they don't call you and say, "Oh, by the way, you have paragraph 1 missing. Complete that, and we'll pick right up where you paused." They
So,
send a letter,
yeah,
and it's called an IRN, immediate response needed. And
yeah,
you have 30 days to respond to that letter, like the IRS. So when people get busy,
yep,
those get pushed on the coffee table on the side,
yep, yep.
and it falls to the wayside. So that's what we do. We advocate the letters. When they come, they send the letters to us. We write a statement of support for
Mhm.
them. And like you said, we know exactly what the verbiage is. And
That makes that's why some people go 2 years without
correct,
any
correct.
support because they miss maybe a little sentence, one little paragraph or something. They get a letter sent to them, which takes weeks to get there by the time they
Right.
generate the letter and get it. Then when the veteran or his caregiver gets it, they could be in a medical crisis. They could be have issues that they can't get the mail. So they put it aside thinking,
Absolutely.
oh, it's okay. I'm in line again. What they don't realize is until they respond, or if they don't get to respond in a timely fashion, it's all back to the beginning again.
And that veteran or surviving spouse goes without that warranted care.
100%. I've seen it. That is something. So I love your program. I love your platform. Now, and I know you want it to grow slowly, but how do home care agencies contact you to become a member of Veterans First?
So on our website, again, I wish we had more avenues, but again, www.veteransfirst.us, there's a link on there that says to become a provider.
Okay.
And that comes right to our office. We want home care agencies to have a minimum of 3 years doing business.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate, Diane, but a lot of home care agencies go up and then they close their doors. It's not
Yes,
an
they do.
easy business to manage.
Yes.
So we look for qualified agencies, and all of their agencies have to have employees that are background checked. Levels of insurance have to be even slightly higher than state minimum requirements.
Mhm.
And I'm proud to say that because I know my fellow veteran or their surviving spouse is getting the best absolutely care that they could, as
Yeah.
opposed to, no disrespect to someone starting the industry, but they're
Right.
just not ready yet.
Yes. Oh, I will tell you right now, one of the biggest things that I tell any of my caregivers that have in-home help is you always have to have a plan B. You
Yeah.
need to have more than one home care agency involved. And they're like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
Because lack of staff, it happens.
Mhm.
We do. And we're in a public health crisis right now because we have more seniors than youth. And we don't have our youth are our tax base, they're our workforce, and we don't have enough of our youth to go around to provide care. So we really are in a dire situation right now. So you have to have more than one. And I love that you want 3. I think that
Yes.
that is imperative because with the aging population, it's here. And as their needs grow, home care is going to be overwhelmed.
Correct. And I'm not sure of what type of viewers you have on this, but from a business standpoint, a home care agency, this allows them to build their book of business with someone that is not normally able to afford their private pay rate.
Yes.
And moreover, when someone calls and they're a surviving spouse, a
Mm.
surviving spouse cannot get home care from the VA. It's only the veteran, either he or she. So what they call is the homemaker program with Optum.
Yes.
And a home care agency can be a VA provider. It's
Mhm.
great, but that's only for the veteran, either he or she. That's
Gotcha.
not for the surviving spouse. But again, like I was talking about, there's a difference of VHA,
Yep.
VA.
Yeah.
VBA can help surviving spouses.
Yeah. And again, it all comes down to the government.
Yeah.
They have it set up. Nobody's talking to anybody else.
You said it. You said it.
Oh, I've lived it. I've lived it. I know it all too well. And
No, you do.
yeah,
You do.
I've sat in on big meetings, care plan meetings, and there's this huge table with all these military dressed individuals, and not one of them can take responsibility for anything. They say we have to check with the higher up in every single meeting, and that's why things don't get done. And
Correct.
the higher ups are afraid to make decisions not when it comes to this stuff because I learned this was under the Obama administration. They were getting bonuses. Administrations were getting bonuses for not providing care. So they were delaying
That's
to,
awful.
yeah. And I've seen that. In fact, when I reported, I got Jeff to have care outside Madigan Army Medical Center into Cleveland Clinic. And I'll never forget the lieutenant general at the time. I'll say George was his name. He called me back, and Diane, he says, "You have just blew my budget." And I'm like, "Oh my God." I said to him, "George, what's really pathetic about that? My son's one soldier. You have millions of them. And just in your building alone, you have several hundred. What in the world does that say about our government not putting money aside for our injured soldiers?"
Yeah, that's just disgraceful.
Disgraceful. So, now, John, how do people support veterans first with donations?
So I'll point back to our website. Once again, we have a donation tab on there. And I am proud to say, I'm glad you brought that up, Diane. When someone does not qualify, let's say, for example, they served during peacetime, after Korea, before Vietnam, we'll say 57 to 59, but they still have dementia
Yes.
and they're still under the asset threshold.
Yes.
We use 100% of donations to pay a licensed agency to go out to provide care to that person that doesn't qualify.
God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you as well too, man.
That touches my heart because I know personally how many caregivers have been totally given so much, and then they get that notice that they're waiting for a benefit, and then they get it, you didn't qualify.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just one day, and they're like, "Oh." And sometimes the threshold for finances, they may be like $5 over,
Sure.
and they get nothing, and they are totally deflated. And I love the fact that you're helping them when they need it.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to make a very important, vital comment here. As I spoke about the asset limit of
Yeah.
163,000, but I never said anything about income. The
Well,
reason why, and this is so important for everyone to remember here, Diane, the reason why is there's not, capital letters, there's not an income limit for this benefit. If you go to www.va.gov and look for income limit for aid and attendance, you're not going to find one. The reason behind that is it's not about income. It's about, quote, reoccurring monthly medical expenses, end quote. What I
wow.
mean by that is you have to prove, let's say Veterans First is not in the equation here right now. And let's
Mhm.
say there's a listener that is a strong advocate that says, you know what, I'm going to do this myself and I'm going to get it like I am.
Yeah, yeah,
So you have to prove that your dear mother is paying higher reoccurring monthly medical expenses than she's receiving in gross monthly income. Now, if you think about that for a minute, that's upside down. There's no possibly
yes,
way you
yes,
can do that.
yes,
So the reason why we help so many people is being that we, Veterans First, is paying for the care up front.
yes.
That becomes a quote reoccurring monthly medical expense. If we did not do that, then
Mhm.
Mrs. Smith would have to pay for the care herself all up front.
Yeah,
Son or daughter can't help pay for it because it has to come out of her portfolio.
yeah.
So that's truly, and again, I wear my heart on the sleeve here. That's truly our secret sauce is
Yeah,
we are paying for that care up front and we know how the system works. And you
yeah,
don't see a lot of companies doing this because it's so risky.
yeah, yeah. It is, it is. And that's when I think that our government kicks the vets to the curb once again because
Yeah. Yeah.
they've disappointed them, and God bless those that serve and allow us to enjoy these freedoms, and God bless that I'm sitting here and I can complain and bitch about the thing is
Sure.
also, I think that you have an incredibly awesome platform. One last thing before you go, John. What states are you in right now?
Without looking at an Excel spreadsheet, Diane, I know it's Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, Alabama, Florida, Texas, California, Illinois, Wisconsin, and I'm leaving a few
Good.
out right now.
That's okay, but, that's okay, that's good. Thank you so much for your time, God bless you for what you do, and for those my listeners out there, you are the most important part of the caregiving equation. Without you, it all falls apart. So please learn to be gentle with yourself. Practice self-care every day because you are worth it.